protecting our community is worth a shot. Vaccines can help protect you, your family, and our community. Stop by James Drugstore today.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news, and this is Group Therapy. It's where we get together, and I get together with my fellow editors, and we talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. Unfortunately, Mr. Rob DeArmond is sick today, so he won't be joining us, so the group is smaller. What is it? Where once there were four, now there is one wolf pack. So it's just myself, and I'm going to let him introduce himself this morning.
Hey, this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the news.
And I'm sure he prefers it when it's just one person because they don't have to guess who's going to introduce themselves first. So we're going to cover Rob's bit first because we are going into the final season of the football regular season. So a lot of seasons there. So first and foremost, David, give us a quick update on what the scores were last week, and then we're going to let everybody know as you head into the final week, be looking for some stories from Rob about the games that are going to be coming up for the final week. So go ahead.
Yeah, Rob will still be working this week. He has he can work from home. Well, no, just joking, Rob. Hope you feel better. But no, the big game was Denham and Walker. That game went into overtime. Denham won 35-28, and Rob Story talked that there was a goal line stand at the end, so that was a really big win, and it's looking like Denham will, from talking with Rob, Denham will probably be in the playoffs. You know, we'll see if there's a couple other Livingston Parish teams that could get in there. Live Oak, they fell to Scotlandville 53-28. Albany, they had a big lead in the first half, but kind of let it go away in the second half against Beauchene. They lost 44-30, and then Springfield fell to St. Thomas Aquinas 46-12 in a district match. So yeah, that's the scores. As everyone knows, the football season lost a week this year because of Hurricane Ida. So we're in week 9, even though week 9 was just completed, even though that was just the 8th game. And so next week, week 10, will be the 9th and final game for our Livingston Parish team. So to be on the lookout for that. They should have playoff matchup set soon after that. And, you know, like we always say, follow Rob. He is on top of all the sports that go on, especially with football season wrapping up. So he'll have all that information for you this Friday. And I do know that Walker plays Thursday night, but the other games I believe are all on Friday.
Right. So please be on the lookout for that. Getting into the news for this portion of, or this episode of Group Therapy, let's first talk about probably the most interesting story. There was a plane on I-12. So, David, tell us what you learned about that.
Yeah, there was a plane on I-12. The pilot had to make an emergency landing in Pumpkin Center, which, as you all know, that's kind of near the Livingston Parish, Tangipahoa Parish line. But yeah, basically that was last Thursday afternoon. State police worked the scene, and there were some firefighters from Livingston Parish that actually went there to assist with them and to get the plane out of, off the shoulder and away from the interstate so that traffic could go on. But yeah, I mean, there was traffic built up for hours. A girl from Albany actually got a video of the plane making the emergency landing. And you could just hear her just screaming, her and her fiance in the car. Her fiance actually works for the sheriff's office, and you know, as soon as they're just singing along in the car, and then all of a sudden you just see this plane just hovering down, you know, a few feet above cars, pass on the interstate, and it actually struck a pickup truck on the interstate on its way down before crashing to the shoulder. But from everything state police have said, it's fine. There was no reported injuries from it. There was, I believe, 3 people in the plane. It's a small aircraft. I believe it could seat 5 people, but there was some engine problems apparently. But yeah, there was no injuries, which that was the important thing, which is kind of, you know, you think plane crash, you think there has to be injuries, but I mean, from what state police said, you know, everyone has walked away from that. So that was it made for an interesting Thursday afternoon for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it was, I mean, when it happened, I mean, it took over social media. I mean, it was just it's not something you see every day. Let's put it that way. So moving on, we're going to be talking about a couple of other things here, and I'm trying to recall. We talked about the new mask rules last week. We also talked about what that would be doing in the schools. So help me out here, David. Oh, yes. Let's go here. Denham Springs. City Councilwoman Lori Lamb Williams talked to you about the new pavilion, which should be completed soon. And I believe people are already using it, but the official completion will be close.
Yeah, and I told her that. I was like, I went to some event and people were, kind of camped out under there. She goes, yeah, we know people are using it, but I mean, we're not renting it out to people until it's complete. I mean, they still had some landscaping to do and that sort of thing. But yeah, as if you've been following this was the where Wet City Hall was. That was the old Denham Springs City Hall that got wrecked during the flood of 2016. And whenever city officials decided to move their headquarters to Hummel Street in the old Capital One building, they decided to turn this into a green space, the former City Hall. So it was, I believe, you were there, I believe, for the demolition of it. I think, was that in 2019?
2019.
Yeah. I mean, 3 years after the flood is when it finally was getting demolished, and now 2 years after that, it's pretty much, like you said, you can see the photo of it. It's a nice pavilion. They have pavement there, has a lot of green space, and they're putting some picnic tables out. They're going to have big fans. It's basically going to be, just another community attraction. It's going to be kind of like Spring Park is, which isn't that far away. It's not going to be under Pards. It's actually going to be under, the city of Denham Springs. That's who people will have to call if they want to, reserve the pavilion and that sort of thing. But yeah, she was pretty giddy. She's been on the committee since the beginning, the committee to turn this into a community attraction, and she believes that it should be done, maybe sometime in November. Oh, God, we're in November now. It should be done sometime maybe this month, but she believes for sure by the end of the year it'll be ready for people to use. So they're going to plan a ribbon cutting, have a special little ceremony for it. So be on the lookout for that. That should be coming, like I said, in the next couple of months for sure.
So, yeah, it should be a good attraction and a pretty clever way for them to make use of that space that they already owned. Getting into, there's some debris cleanup stuff going on that we're going to talk about. But first and foremost, after the most recent Delta surge, I guess you call it, the Livingston Parish Council went back to Zoom meetings like they had during the height of the coronavirus in 2020. I believe this Thursday.
Yes.
It'll be back in person.
Unfortunately. No, I mean, Zoom does make it convenient, but it is good to be able to go to these in person. And last night they actually had a committee meeting, an ordinance meeting, and they were talking about that. They had already had that ordinance meeting scheduled to be via Zoom, so they had to go through with that. But even they said that people don't realize how much input they get from public comments and that sort of thing. And with Zoom, you're really kind of limited on the public comments because a lot of people might not have access to it, so they're not able to, give their opinions on certain issues. So they said last night that, they're looking forward to that. But yeah, that's basically came about because, like we talked about last week, the governor lifted the mask mandate. Because things are improving with cases, hospitalizations, percent positivity, all those sort of things, those COVID numbers. So at that point, the council said, there's no justification anymore for not having these in person. So that's why they decided to go back to in person. So I will be there in person with them this Thursday, the 4th. Yeah, the 4th. So yeah, that'll be the first one since about August, because this kind of happened after Parish President Leighton Ricks had to close the Livingston Parish government offices because they had their own sort of outbreak in the parish offices. So that was in late July. So since late July, they've been doing all these meetings via Zoom. So hopefully now it's kind of, like they've said, you never know what's going to happen with COVID. So, I mean, they might be going back to Zoom in another couple months. Who knows? But for now, they're going back to in person. So that should give people a chance to get out there and kind of, hear them in person, hear what these council members are trying to get done in Livingston Parish.
Right. And one of those things is recently LOSEP, or the Livingston Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness, kind of gave the council an update on what's going on with debris cleanup. And they got some feedback that wasn't necessarily positive, some not.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit. First and foremost, real quick, Denham Springs has begun their final swing.
Yes, yeah, they started that on Monday. That would be the 1st, November 1st. So they're expecting to be done this Friday, November 5th. This is the third and final pass. They've already done 2 passes through the city, and Denham Denham Springs has their own contract with Ceres Environmental. They're separate from the parish, so within the city of Denham Springs, those contractors are picking up stuff on city streets. Your vegetative debris and then your construction demolition debris. That's kind of been what's picked up in there, and they're hoping to have that done in Denham this week. Not the same for the parish, though.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the parish.
Well, parishes, they've actually almost picked up 1 million cubic yards of debris so far, and they started it was about a week or so after Hurricane Ida hit, which was August 29th. And now most of the debris pickup is being concentrated on the eastern and southeastern portions of the parish, which were the heaviest impacted parishes during Ida. The LoSAP director, Brandy Jane, she said they haven't been able to give a hotline yet for people to call, saying if their places have been missed because they've just had issues setting that up. But she said people are still calling her office all day long, every day, and that they are writing down those addresses and names. And so far, they're almost done with the second pass through the parish. But like you said, some areas have seen more pickup than others. Randy DeLatte of District 8, he complained. He had some strong, not criticism necessarily for LoSAP, but just the debris contractors in general, that they're not giving much direction to or much guidance to local officials, basically giving a timeline of when this area would be picked up, when they expect to be done. They council members kind of feel like they've been in the dark about that. So I mean that's really the biggest criticism to me, that they just feel like they haven't gotten much direction versus I believe one of them cited EBR Parish. They kind of have online debris website basically that kind of says what areas have been picked up, when certain areas is going to be picked up, how much they've picked up. So it seems to be a little bit more diligent, I guess you could say. But Brandy James has said she's pretty understaffed there. So I mean, it's not a lot of people that are able to do this, and I mean it's such a high volume. I mean, she has talked about the debris being widespread, and if you drove out in Livingston Parish those week or two after Ida hit, I mean you could see that. I mean it was just everywhere. So so they are going to pause from debris pickup, I believe November 19th. Someday in November, and then restart up again in December. I can't find the exact date, but so they'll pause for a little bit just to give people more time to kind of put their debris back on the side, back up to the roads, to cut up their debris if it's too big. Because if it's too big, they're not going to take it. So and then they're hoping that last pass will be able to finish before the end of the year. But it's kind of hard to say with debris pickup.
Right. Well, yeah, it's not a fine art, but it's definitely something that people look for, expect after a storm, and it's not easy. So it's going to be interesting to see where that process goes going forward. Last, but certainly not least on the news, before we move into the education cohort, there is a reopened or newly opened disaster recovery center in Springfield.
Yes, at the let me look that up to have the exact address down. For people who don't know, FEMA extended the deadline for you to apply for disaster relief if you had damage done during Hurricane Ida. That deadline was supposed to be October 28th. It's now November 29th. So you have an extra month if you haven't applied yet to apply. And I believe that is at the AmVet Center in Springfield. And that is, if you're going down Highway 43, that is. Mm-hmm. Yes, if you're going, I'm terrible with directions and highways. If you're going on Highway 43 south of the interstate, it would be on your left as you're driving down there, and it's located at 26890 Highway 42 in Springfield. Okay, we had the highway wrong, but yeah, that is open. It is open every day except for Sundays, and that is open for the time being. I spoke with the FEMA representative, and he said that is going to be open as long as the need is there. If they get to a point to where there's only 4 or 5 people coming in an 8-hour day, they're going to close it. So for the time being, that is open right now.
Okay. So please remember, deadline extended. If you do still have damage from Ida, please remember to report it. And I believe you can still report it to the assessor's office if you haven't done that yet. Getting into lifestyle real quick to wrap up the show. There was an educational cohort that came to view some of the STEM that's going on, and that's science, technology, engineering, and math.
Yes.
Hey, look at me. Here in the parish, you kind of shadowed that visit. Tell us a little bit about what they saw.
Well, this cohort is made up of Denham Springs teachers at elementary and middle schools, and basically they're trying to develop a STEM curriculum to be used parish-wide. I mean, we've done stories on STEM in the past, and it's kind of where education is going. So over the summer, they worked with LSU to develop these STEM activities, basically, that now these pilot schools, like I said, they're all in the Denham area. You have, I believe it's 9 Denham elementary schools and then 3 middle schools. And basically they're just testing this out to see if next year they could introduce this parish wide. And in the middle schools, they have 2 elective courses versus in the elementary schools, it's a bunch of basically activities that the teachers are trying to incorporate into their lessons. And Eastside Elementary has been kind of a leading school on this recently. The instructional supervisor for the Livingston Parish school system is Kelly LeBeau. She actually used to be the principal at Eastside Elementary, so she's kind of taken the stuff that she was doing at Eastside Elementary to kind of put it on the parish level. So it was basically just a chance for these cohorts they're going to do 4 visits during the school year. This was their first visit, and they just wanted to see the STEM activities in action and see how they were able to connect these activities with the standards that the teachers are having to teach their kids in class. So, I mean, it was pretty incredible to see this, see the different ways that you can make these activities connect with lessons. And that was one of the things that the principal was saying. It's a fun activity, but the lesson is what's important, and the fact that it ties into what they're actually learning. It helps them learn it better, and it makes them more engaged and more interested basically in what they're doing instead of just sitting behind a desk.
Sure. So going to be interesting to see kind of what they come up with going forward. It sounds like something that will be unique to this parish. So, well, Mr. Gray, we don't have Rob here. We miss him. We hope he feels better. But we appreciate you giving that sports update and then running through the news and lifestyle. If you'll reintroduce yourself as we head on out here.
This is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the news.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys out there joining us today for the group therapy episode of the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show. It's where we get together with our editors and talk about what's going on in Livingston Parish. Please remember that the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.